Hey guys, what's up? This is Craig Cosmo. Today I'm going to be doing a movie review called Superman 1978. So anyways, without further ado, let's talk about the story. So the story is basically about Jor-El, who lives in Krypton, who has a biological son named Kal-El. Now, before Kal-El was sentenced to Earth, and before Krypton was destroyed, in the beginning of the movie, of this story, is that Jor-El decided to send General Zod and two other criminals to the Phantom Zone for committing a crime against Krypton and Kryptonian beings. And so, after when Jor-El sentenced General Zod and the criminals to the Phantom Zone, later on, Jor-El would then later warn the people of Krypton about the dangers that's going to happen to Krypton. And so, because of this, the council didn't believe in Jor-El's theory about Krypton going to be destroyed by a red star or a red sun. And so later on, Jor-El decided to send Kal-El inside of this star-shaped crystal, and after he put Kal-El inside of the star-shaped crystal with the help of his wife Lara, who is a mother of Superman, sentenced Kal-El to another planet, and that planet was Earth. And so that is basically the part of the story. I will not spoil the rest of the story. All I can say about the story was pretty much well written, and it was pretty much well done. And what I like about this story, again, as I said before, is how, Jor-El was able to send his biological son to Earth, and that is basically it. So now that I'm done talking about the story, now I want to talk about the visuals and the effects that I like about Superman 1978. One of the best visuals that I like and the effects that I like is how Superman was able to fly from one location to another in the background, and what we see in the background is, it looks like Metropolis, but to me it looks more like New York than Metropolis. And that is one thing I truly like about how Superman was able to fly from one area of the location and the other. And also, another thing I like about the visuals and the special effects is that you get to see, stars and planets and other, space imageries, and which is one thing I truly like about the visual and the effects. And that was really awesome. And now that I'm done talking about the visuals and the effects, now I want to talk about the scenes that I like without giving too much spoilers in this movie review. So anyways, the scene that I like is how Superman made his first appearance in rescuing Lois Lane, and that was pretty awesome. And another scene that I truly like about is how Superman then meets Lois Lane once again during the rooftop at night. And so Superman and Lois Lane were able to fly into the night, and that's one thing I truly like about this scene. So anyways, those are some of the two scenes that I truly like about. So as I said before, I'm not going to spoil the rest of the movie, which I've already spoiled only a few parts of it, especially the story. So anyways, now for the music and the intro. Now the music in the Superman 1978 was really great, and what I like about the music and the intro is that the intro that they catch was really awesome. And I like the intro, the music on how they introduced the title of the Superman movie, and which was really awesome. So anyways, I am done talking about the intros and the music that they catch for the title, The Superman. Now I want to talk about the characters and the actors of the Superman 1978 characters and actor is none other than Superman Clark Kent Kal-El, played by Christopher Reeves. Now, what I like about Christopher Reeves is that Christopher Reeves does a pretty good job of performing Superman pretty well, and I think the person who hired Christopher Reeves to play Superman was a really good choice, and I really think that was also a good choice again for picking Christopher Reeves as Superman, because it makes sense, because Christopher Reeves' appearance looks like Superman, and that's one thing I truly like about Christopher Reeves performing as Superman. And so anyways, the next actor and the next character who I'm going to be talking about is Jor-El, played by Marlon Brando. And I think Marlon Brando does a pretty good job of playing Jor-El. And again, I've already talked about Jor-El in the beginning of my video, so there's nothing else I could say about Jor-El that's already been said, except for the fact that he is a biological father of Superman, and that is one thing I truly like about Marlon Brando playing as Jor-El. Now, the next actor and character who I'm also going to be talking about is Laura, played by Susannah York. Now, Susannah York does a pretty good job of playing Superman's biological mother, and also, as for the character Laura, there's nothing I could say about her other than the fact that she is a biological mother of Superman. But what I could say is that she really did a pretty good job of taking care of Kal-El, and which is really awesome about, the characters doing real well of taking care of her biological son, especially as an actress that knows how to perform real well of being Superman's biological mother. So anyways, this next actor and character who I'm going to be talking about, and this actor and character is Jonathan Kent, played by Glenn Ford. Now, what I like about Glenn Ford playing as Jonathan Kent, he really did a pretty amazing job of playing Jonathan Kent, being an adoptive father of Superman, and that's what I like about Glenn Ford playing as Jonathan Kent until something happened to him, which I won't spoil it. So anyways, the next actress and character who I'm going to be talking about is Martha Kent, played by Phyllis Tapster. And again, I apologize for mispronouncing her name correctly. Now, Phyllis Tapster does a pretty good job of playing Martha Kent. Now, as for the character, I have nothing to say about Martha Kent other than the fact that she really loves Clark Kent and she really cares for her adopted son, and that's one thing I truly do like about Martha Kent. So anyways, the next character and actor who I'm going to be talking about, and this character and actor is Lois Lane, played by Margaret Kidder. And what I truly like about Margaret Kidder playing as Lois Lane is that I really do like how the person picked Margaret Kidder to play as Lois Lane. And what I like about this character, Lois Lane, well, Lois Lane is basically a journalist where she likes to ask questions and gathering information by doing interviews with other characters and other people, especially with Superman, who she likes. And she is also pretty much a good character to have a relationship with Superman, and that's one thing I truly did like about. Now, I've already talked about the scenes that I like about Superman and Lois, and what I haven't talked about is how sometimes that, as Lois Lane that she can sometimes be very rude to Clark Kent, but she can also be nice to Superman, and which is one thing I truly like about Lois Lane. So, the next character and actor I'm going to be talking about is Jimmy Olsen, played by Mark McClure. Now, what I like about Mark McClure is that Mark McClure is an amazing actor who does a pretty good job of playing Jimmy Olsen, who is basically a photographer and a young person in Superman 1978. And that's all I gotta say. So anyways, moving on. The next character and actor who I'm going to be talking about, and this character and actor is none other than Lex Luthor, played by Gene Hackman. Now, Gene Hackman plays the character Lex Luthor, and which is one thing I truly like about Gene Hackman's performance. And I think he pretty much really nailed it of being Lex Luthor. And as for the character Lex Luthor, well, let's just say that Lex Luthor is basically a diabolical mastermind and also a pretty much your basic supervillain, and which is one thing I truly like about Lex Luthor. Now, I don't know if he's a CEO of LexCorp, just like in the comic books, which I don't think he is, but one thing I truly do think is that he's basically just a mastermind in Metropolis, and that one thing of what Lex Luthor wants to do is that he wants to, take over certain part of America. Now, I won't spoil it or why he wants to do it, but all I can say about Lex Luthor is that he is a pretty much an awesome villain in the Superman 1978 movie. Now, the next character and actor who I'm going to be talking about is none other than Perry White, played by Jackie Cooper. Now, Jackie Cooper portrays Perry White as a mean boss who goes around and yells at his employees, whether if they're doing a good job or a bad job, depends on how Perry White does. And what I like about Jackie Cooper is that he does a really amazing job playing as Perry White. And as for Perry White, well, again, I've already said that Perry White is a mean boss who yells, but what I can say about Perry White is that he is a pretty much in charge of the Daily Planet, as well as he is also pretty much, Clark Kent's boss and Lois Lane's boss. But he's not all that mean, he's not all that, aggressive. And that is one thing I truly do like about Perry White. So, anyways, the next character and actor who I'm going to be talking about is General Zod, played by Terrence Stamp. Now, Terrence Stamp does a pretty amazing job playing General Zod. I like how Terrence Stamp was standing there looking at the court, and also when he played as General Zod basically, again, as I said in the video, was looking and standing there at the court in Krypton. Now, there's nothing much known about General Zod. All it is known is that he was going to be sentenced directly to the Phantom Zone. So, anyways, I am done talking about the actors and the character. Now I'm going to give out some of my overall thoughts in this movie. Overall, I think this movie is really amazing. I think this movie is really, really great. And I really do love how the stories and the actions and the scenes were really great. Now, I've already spoiled at least one or two scenes, so I'm not going to spoil that many scenes. All I can say about this movie, it is really good. And I'm going to give this rating of this movie 9 out of 10. So anyways, this is Craig Cosmo. Until next time, bye.